Hey there, all you magnificent musical masters. Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is episode 41 of Broadway Jeopardy. If you like musical theater history, Broadway trivia, and yelling at the TV when the answer is right on the tip of your tongue, then make sure and hit that subscription button and turn on the bell notification so you'll never miss an episode. I've got 26 all-new Broadway brainbusters ready for you, so without further ado, let's go crazy Broadway Jeopardy style. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Taking a peek at this week's categories, we start off as always with last week's Final Jeopardy category, which is Who's the Boss? Looking at some employers in different musicals. That's followed by Based on a Documentary, pretty self-explanatory. These are shows based on documentaries. After that, we have Belly Up to the Bar, looking at some watering holes featured in shows. Then it's Simpsons Did It. This is a video category where I'll show you a short clip of a Simpsons song parody, and because I'll admit this is a pretty easy category, you'll have to name the song being parodied and the show it's from. And last but not least, we have Bio Jukebox Musicals, a returning category looking at some jukebox musicals featuring songs associated with the person or persons that the show is about. And we end with the Final Jeopardy round, so make sure and keep track of your scores so you can wager some of your invisible earnings on that last clue. We start off, of course, with the $200 round, or the Overture round as I call it, where the questions begin on the easy side of the spectrum before I crank up the difficulty level with the later rounds. Starting off in the Who's the Boss category, your first $200 clue is: when Fanny Brice joins the Follies in Funny Girl, she clashes with this man, the creator and producer of the Follies. Who is Florenz Ziegfeld is the answer, though you can absolutely have the points if you just said Ziegfeld. Flo Ziegfeld, of course, is the man behind the Follies, which started in 1907, then just called the Follies, before officially becoming the Ziegfeld Follies for the 1911 edition, 1 year after Fanny Brice started performing in them. Moving on to the Based on a Documentary category, your next $200 clue is: the upcoming Broadway musical The Queen of Versailles, based on the documentary of the same name, is set to star this wicked and schmigadoon legend. Who is Kristen Chenoweth? The big star in a tiny package is coming back to Broadway after an extended leave, and Miss Chenoweth hasn't appeared in a new musical on Broadway since Wicked in 2003, having only appeared in revivals and some concerts since then. The Queen of Versailles is based on the 2012 documentary following Jackie Siegel, who, with her husband, are building the largest and most elaborate single-family residence ever built in the US, just as the 2008 recession hits. The musical is set to open at the St. James Theater next season with F. Murray Abraham on board to play Jackie's husband, David. Let's belly up to the bar for the $200 clue. The employees of the Bourbon Room don't stop believing they can save their bar from being demolished in this 2009 glam metal jukebox musical. What is Rock of Ages? The glam rock jukebox musical featured the songs of popular hair bands from the 1980s like Styx, Journey, Twisted Sister, and Poison. Before coming to Broadway in 2009, the show began in Los Angeles, where the musical takes place, and then starred Laura Bell Bundy, actor and TV host Chris Hardwick, Buffy the Vampire Slayer actor Tom Lenk, and Tenacious D member Kyle Gass, none of whom stayed with the show on its journey to Broadway. Your first video clue in the Simpsons Did It category for $200 is:
Luke, be a Jedi tonight. Just be a Jedi tonight. Do it for Yoda while we serve our guests a soda. Luke, be a Jedi tonight.
What is Luck Be a Lady from Guys and Dolls? That clip is from the season 10 episode Married to the Mob. In that episode, Homer becomes Mayor Quimby's bodyguard. After the mayor runs afoul of local crime boss Fat Tony, Homer wants to take Quimby's mind off gangsters, so he takes him out to a dinner theater production of Guys and Dolls. Though as you can see, they certainly don't follow the original script or score for the musical.
Guys and dolls, we're just a bunch of crazy guys and dolls. Oh yeah, guys and dolls.
And finishing up the Overture round with the Bio Jukebox Musicals category, your last $200 clue is... In the 2015 jukebox musical On Your Feet, Anna Villafane starred as this 8-time Grammy winner, whose hits include Conga, The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You, and Get On Your Feet. Who is Gloria Estefan? As jukebox bio musicals go, On Your Feet was one of the better ones in my opinion. Bolstered greatly by Miss Villafañe's performance as Gloria Estefan, the show started from Gloria's childhood and moved through her time with the Miami Sound Machine, her horrible bus accident, and her remarkable return to performing. Her equally excellent co-star in the musical was Josh Segarra as husband Emilio Estefan. Josh Segarra has since appeared in several TV shows like She-Hulk, Attorney at Law for my fellow Marvel fans out there, and Manny on the hit TV show Abbott Elementary.
Get on your feet. Get up and make it happen. Get on your feet. Stand up and take some action.
I hope you all are on your feet after that first round. Let's move on to the only slightly harder $400 round now. Circling back to Who's the Boss, your first $400 clue is... J.B. Bigley is the top boss with a secret knitting hobby in this classic musical comedy. What is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying? The original J.B. Bigley, head honcho of Worldwide Wickets, was Rudy Vallee. Vallee had been a major star in the 1930s on radio and early film musicals. One of his signature moves was using a megaphone to amplify his voice over the big bands he would often perform with. And he's often depicted with his megaphone like this image from a 1934 Betty Boop cartoon. The $400 clue in the Based on a Documentary category is... This more recent musical, based on the documentary of the same name, is about a group of young people with autism learning, among other things, how to dance in this state. What is Ohio? The musical about a group of autistic teenagers and their group counselor planning a spring formal dance opened on Broadway in 2023. Development for the show began back in 2018, 3 years after the original documentary was released, and the musical was spearheaded by none other than Hal Prince, who worked on the show until his death in 2019. The unfortunately short-lived show is one that attracted several celebrity producers, a big trend in recent years with Broadway musicals. Here, with How to Dance in Ohio, Paula Abdul and rapper Ludacris joined its group of producers. Raise a glass for the Belly Up to the Bar category and the $400 clue. Hugo attempts to drown his sorrows about Kim at Maud's bar in this classic musical. What is Bye Bye Birdie? Distraught by their breakup, the obviously underage Hugo Peabody heads to local bar Maud's and tries to drown his sorrows in the bottom of a glass, but the no-nonsense bar owner Maud kicks him out fast.
Give me a double scotch on the rocks. Heavy on the rocks.
How old are you?
32.
Get out of here.
What about a beer?
I said, get out of here.
Heading to the couch with the Simpsons Did It category and the $400 video clue.
Springfield, Springfield, it's a hell of a town. The schoolyard's up and the shopping mall's down.
What is New York, New York from On the Town is the answer. Taken from the season 5 episode Boy Scouts in the Hood, Bart and his best friend Milhouse drink an all-syrup squishy and take in the sights of their town, Springfield. The original song New York, New York, sung by 3 sailors on 24-hour leave in the musical On the Town, does get a fun nod later in that sequence.
Springfield, Springfield.
New York, New York.
New York is that way, man.
Thanks, kid.
And the final $400 clue in the Bio Jukebox Musicals category is superstar Hugh Jackman made his Tony-winning Broadway debut in this jukebox musical about the life of singer-songwriter Peter Allen. What is The Boy from Oz is the correct response. As the clue stated, The Boy from Oz was a jukebox musical about the life of Australian singer-songwriter Peter Allen, whose hits included I Go to Rio, Arthur's Theme, and Don't Cry Out Loud. The musical started in Allen's home country of Australia in 1998, starring Todd McKenney as Peter Allen. The show then came to the States in 2003, starring X-Men superstar Hugh Jackman, who would win the Tony that year, and deservedly so. That man carried that whole show on his very muscly back. Also giving incredible performances in that original Broadway run were Isabel Keating as Allen's friend and idol Judy Garland, and Stephanie J. Block as her daughter and Allen's one-time wife, Liza Minnelli.
Though I may look the same way to you, underneath there is somebody new. Oh, I am not the boy next door. I don't belong like I did before. Now
Shaking our hips right into the $600 round now. Back again at Who's the Boss? Your $600 clue there is the three leading ladies in 9 to 5 think they accidentally put this in their boss's coffee. What is rat poison? Violet, Doralee, and Judy hate their sexist, egotistical boss, Mr. Hart, and they all have vivid dreams of doing him in spectacular ways. But for a minute, it seems that Violet may have acted on those impulses and accidentally poisoned the lecherous boss's coffee, though that turns out to not have been the case. Hitting play on the based on a documentary category gives us the $600 clue. This musical about makeup moguls and rivals, Helena Rubinstein and Elizabeth Arden, is based on the documentary The Powder and the Glory. What is War Paint? The 2017 musical, which starred Patti LuPone and Christine Ebersol as Rubinstein and Arden respectively, was based on the 2007 documentary The Powder and the Glory, as well as the book War Paint by Lindy Woodhead from 2004. I knew nothing about these two makeup moguls before I saw the musical, and it is a fascinating story. The musical explores not only the glass ceiling shattering done by these two women and their bitter rivalry, but also how their infighting led to drastic changes in the cosmetics industry itself, with the government becoming involved in the process of making makeup. The $600 clue in the belly up to the bar category is, in this 90s musical, you'll find Lucy performing at The Red Rat, where she ponders the benefits of good and evil. What is Jekyll and Hyde? As I mentioned in a previous episode, Lucy's first song, Good and Evil, was a replacement for the song Bring on the Men, which has since been reinstated in most productions, and I will admit, it's a superior song, but I still do like Good and Evil if I'm being honest. Lucy in Jekyll and Hyde, originated by Linda Eder, one of my favorite vocalists, is a performer slash prostitute who comes to know both Henry Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it does not end well for Lucy, let's just say that. Your next video clue in the Simpsons Did It category for $600 is,
oh, to have me shock rebuilt, get my rotten teeth all drilled, something on underneath me kilt, oh, wouldn't it be adequate?
What is Wouldn't It Be Loverly from My Fair Lady? This My Fair Lady spoof featuring groundskeeper Willie is from the season 17 episode My Fair Laddie. And as you might have guessed from the title, the entire episode is a take on My Fair Lady, with Lisa betting Bart that she can turn groundskeeper Willie into a proper gentleman.
Say it again.
What flows from the nose does not go on my clothes.
I think he's got it. Oh, yes, he's got it.
And over in the Bio Jukebox Musicals category for $600, we have Stephanie J. Block won the Tony Award for playing this single-named legend in the 2018 jukebox musical named after her. Who is Cher is the answer. The Cher Show opened on Broadway in 2018 with Miss Block playing one of the Chers in the show. They had 3 women as Cher at different times in her life. You know, I go back and forth on the title, The Cher Show. I think it's one of the stupidest names for a musical, and yet also kind of smart. The producers figured that no matter what they titled their Cher jukebox musical, potential ticket buyers would most likely just refer to it as The Cher Show anyway, so they cut out the middleman and just named it that from the get-go. What do you think? Do you think that's a clunky title, or do you think it's actually brilliant marketing? Let me know in the comments. It's time to really turn up the heat with the $800 round now. But before we do, please, oh pretty please, take a second and hit that like button for me. It really helps with the almighty YouTube algorithm showing these videos to more fine folks like yourselves, but also makes me feel pretty
Adequate.
Thank you all. I really do appreciate it. Okay, starting off the next round with the Who's the Boss category and the $800 clue. In the Heights, Benny always stops by Usnavi's bodega for his boss's second coffee, which he takes with 1 cream and this many sugars. What is 5 sugars is the answer. In the musical, Benny works for Rosario's cab company run by Kevin Rosario, who likes his coffee sweet apparently.
And the most important mile. Boss, the second coffee, 1 cream, 5 sugars.
Next up in the based on a documentary category for $800, we have in Grey Gardens, Big Edie Beale is very fond of Jerry, the young handyman, and is thrilled that he likes the way she makes this food. What is corn is the correct response. In the musical, as was in real life shown in the documentary, Jerry Torrey as a young man stumbled upon the decaying property known as Grey Gardens and quickly earned the favor of Big Edie Beale and became the property's handyman, doing odd jobs for the reclusive mother and daughter. The ladies nicknamed him the Marble Fawn, and he developed a special bond with the older Beale, which the creators of the musical depicted in the song Jerry Likes My Corn. Pull up a chair for the Belly Up to the Bar category and the $800 clue. Local barflies Ralph and Gus drink shots and lament how nobody cares in this film-based musical. What is Groundhog Day is the correct answer. In the musical adaptation of the brilliant film, Phil Connors tries to figure out why he's reliving the same day over and over, and initially seeks out the help of several doctors, who suggest various remedies like cutting out gluten, using horse medicine, and even a good enema. None of these, of course, work to ease Phil's mind until Gus and Ralph suggest something that always works, at least temporarily: alcohol.
I wake with a headache, I take a piss, I often miss, I often get a little bit on the floor. I eat a piece of toast that I found toasted in the toaster, then I goes to get my jacket by the rack by the back door.
Let's see what our favorite animated family is up to with the $800 video clue.
Too nice, I'll sell these fuzzy dice. Maud bought them as a joke I did not get.
What is Tonight from West Side Story? The Simpsons parody of Tonight from West Side Story comes from the opening of the season 32 episode titled Diary Queen. But this was not the first time the Simpsons did a riff on the show tune. They also did a parody of Tonight in the episode Lisa with an S in season 27.
Tonight, tonight, my dreams come true tonight. I'll pass it to tonight, tonight.
Mo! What the hell is that?
Sorry, I missed rehearsal. Damn it.
And putting a quarter in the Bio Jukebox Musicals category gives us the $800 clue. In the 2010 musical $1 Million Quartet, music legends Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and Elvis Presley gather for a once-in-a-lifetime jam session at this famous recording studio. What is Sun Studio is the correct response. The real $1 Million Quartet, as it was dubbed, happened at the world-famous Sun Studio in Memphis, Tennessee on December 4th, 1956. Carl Perkins was there recording with newcomer Jerry Lee Lewis on piano, while Elvis and Johnny Cash just happened to both stop by the studio separately for casual visits. What followed was an impromptu jam session that's considered a seminal moment in rock and roll history. The musical dramatized this chance recording session with Sun Studio owner Sam Phillips acting as narrator. Sam Phillips was originated on Broadway by Hunter Foster, and Levi Kreis, who played Jerry Lee Lewis, would win the Tony for Best Featured Actor in a Musical for the role. It's that time, my friends. We've reached the big show, the main event. It's the $1,000 round. Cue that dramatic music. Good luck, players. Back one last time with the Who's the Boss category. Your $1,000 clue there is: this is the woman who owns and operates the titular carousel in the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. Who is Mrs. Mullins is the right answer. She operates Mullins Carousel with an eagle eye. When her top barker, Billy Bigelow, pays a little too much attention to the young Julie Jordan, Mrs. Mullins gets into a huff and bans her from ever riding the carousel again, and later fires Billy over the incident as well. It's not made explicit that Mrs. Mullins and Billy have any sort of relationship outside of employer-employee, but there is certainly something going on there I think is open to interpretation. The $1,000 clue in the based on a documentary category is: this documentary-based British musical is about a 16-year-old boy who faces bullying while following his dream of becoming a drag queen. What is Everybody's Talking About Jamie? The 2017 British musical by Dan Gillespie Sells and Tom McRae is based on the 2011 BBC documentary Jamie, Drag Queen at 16. While the musical enjoyed a West End production and a couple of UK tours, the show has never made its way to New York, which I am still surprised and a little sad about. The show did play Los Angeles, California in 2022, however, with the role of Hugo, aka Loco Chanel, young Jamie's drag mentor, being played by Roy Haylock, better known to most fans as Bianca Del Rio, one of the best drag queens in the biz. Hopefully, we'll see a production here in New York sometime soon. Last call for the belly up to the bar category and the $1,000 clue. In Promises, Promises, a depressed Chuck heads to the bar where he links up with this woman who believes a fact can be a beautiful thing. Who is Marge McDougal is the correct answer. Marge McDougal is a fascinating role, not just for the hilarious but small scenes she's in, but also for the great fortune that role seems to bring the actresses who play her. In the original 1968 production, Marge was played by Marion Mercer, and despite the character only having one small scene and song at the beginning of Act 2, Miss Mercer took home the Tony Award that year for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. History would repeat itself in 2010 when Promises, Promises had its first and so far only Broadway revival, when the brilliantly funny Katie Finneran took on the small but memorable role and herself won the Tony for Best Featured Actress.
Forget the past and think about the present.
The present's very pleasant.
Who cares what the future will bring? There's just no predicting a thing. Don't wait for a miracle, because it's Christmas.
Not a time to be alone with memories.
Get ready for a much more difficult clue in the Simpsons Did It category with the $1,000 video clue.
They've got no healthcare, they got no dental. There's just one bathroom, so they take turns. And all the money and all the power in the clutches of Monty Burns.
Hallelujah, make us grovel.
What is Henry Ford from Ragtime is the right answer. Okay, this one was tricky, much trickier than the rest. I'm sure most Simpsons fans weren't even aware that it was a show tune parody. The clip is from season 35 from 2023 and the episode It's a Blunderful Life, where in the future, Lisa tells the story of how Homer was blamed for a massive power outage at the power plant, when of course it was the cost-cutting Mr. Burns who was actually responsible.
See here, Smithers, here's my theory of how to cut down what people earn. Every worker should be non-union. That's the genius of Monty Burns.
And the curtain call clue in the Bio Jukebox Musicals category for $1,000 is... The life of record label owner Florence Greenberg was the subject of this 2011 jukebox musical, featuring the music of the Shirelles and other 60s pop groups. What is Baby It's You? The musical starred Beth Leavel, one of my favorite actresses of all time, as Florence Greenberg, who discovered the Shirelles among other pop groups in the 1960s. Some of the songs featured in the musical were Yakety Yak, 16 Candles, Twist and Shout, and You Really Got a Hold on Me. You know, I saw Baby It's You back in the day, and they say if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. And with that, we've reached the final Jeopardy round, everybody. Time to tally up those scores and decide how much you want to wager in the category Closed on the Road. We're looking at some musicals that intended on reaching Broadway, but closed in their tryout phase instead. Okay, has everyone made their wagers? Michael? Matthew? Benjamin? Okay, here is your final clue. Songwriting team Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt had high hopes for their musical version of Thornton Wilder's classic play Our Town, which was titled this after the fictional setting of the play. What is Grover's Corner is the correct response. Grover's Corner is the fictional New England town where Our Town is set. Other teams, including none other than Rodgers and Hammerstein, had attempted to get the rights to musicalize Our Town, but after a 1955 TV musical version of the play starring Frank Sinatra as the stage manager, author Thornton Wilder disliked it so much he wouldn't grant the rights to anyone. It wasn't until the early 1980s, after Wilder's death, that Jones and Schmidt, the team behind The Fantastics and 110 in the Shade among others, would get the rights. There was a reportedly excellent production of the musical Grover's Corners in Chicago in 1987, and the musical did announce a Broadway run that for a time was to have starred Mary Martin as a gender-swap stage manager, but eventually the option on the play ran out and the estate refused to renew them. And that's this week's game! How did you all fare this week? Were you the boss, or were you merely adequate? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and seeing your scores. As always, this weekly show would not be possible without the support of my amazing patrons over on Patreon. Thank you guys from the bottom of my Broadway loving heart. If you want to help support the channel and keep these weekly episodes coming, there is a link in the video description to my Patreon where you can check that out, as well as a link to my merch shop with some fun theatery designs there. And of course, just sharing these videos with friends and family, or even casual acquaintances. I'll take anyone. It really does help with these videos growing. If you want to connect outside of YouTube, you can find me over on Blue Sky chatting about musicals and Marvel and whatever else pops into my head. I'll be back next week with episode 42, but until then, I'm Mark Benani. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for playing.